saved my father's life during the rebellion.
Father told you about the rebellion? Mine never did. I saw that too.
What else have you seen?
The only one thing that matters. You. The only one thing that matters. You.
Hello, sweet summer children. I'm back with some juice to get you through the long nights. So in my communities tab here on YouTube, I told you guys to leave me your questions and I would answer some in a video. I've done videos like this before and I thought I would do one again because they are super fun to do. So this question was so good that I'm just going to dedicate this whole video to this question because it's actually going to take a lot of explaining to answer this one question. So a shout out to Muhammad. Muhammad asked, do you think the Night King was the last hero who made a deal with the children to defeat the others, but ended being one of them, or the children did betray him by putting the dragon glass into his heart? That is actually a great question, and I do not think that the last hero became an other, and I'll tell you why and who I think the last hero is. So let's talk about the legend of the last hero. Oh, my sweet summer child, old Nan said quietly. What do you know of fear? Fear is for the winter, my little lord, when the snows fall 100 feet deep and the ice wind comes howling out of the north. Fear is for the long night, when the sun hides its face for years at a time, and little children are born and live and die all in darkness, while the dire wolves grow gaunt and hungry, and the White Walkers move through the woods. You mean the others, Bran said. The others, old Nan agreed. Thousands and thousands of years ago, a winter fell that was cold and hard and endless beyond all memory of man. There came a night that lasted a generation, and kings shivered and died in their castles, even as the swineherds in their hovels. Women smothered their children rather than see them starve, and cried and felt their tears freeze on their cheeks. Her voice and her needles fell silent, and she glanced up at Bran with the pale, filmy eyes and asked, "So, child, this is the sort of story you like?" "Well," Bran said reluctantly. "Yes, only now these were the days before the Andals came, and long before the women fled across the narrow sea from the cities of the Rhoyne, and the 100 kingdoms of those times were the kingdoms of the first men who had taken these lands from the children of the forest. Yet here and there in the fastness of the woods, the children still lived in their wooden cities and hollow hills, and the faces in the trees kept watch. So as the cold and death filled the earth, the last hero determined to seek out the children in hopes that their ancient magics could win back what the armies of men had lost. He set out into the Deadlands with a sword, a horse, a dog, and a dozen companions. For years he searched, until he despaired of ever finding the children of the forest in their secret cities. One by one his friends died, and his horse, and finally even his dog. And his sword froze so hard the blade snapped when he tried to use it. And the others smelled the hot blood in him and came silent on his trail, stalking him with packs of pale white spiders as big as hounds. So who do you think fits the description of the last hero? Think. Who fits the description? Bran Stark. When Benjen goes missing, Bran hears about it from Yoren, and Bran thinks about the legend of the last hero. All Bran could think of was old Nan's story of the others and the last hero. Hounded through the white woods by dead men and spiders as big as hounds, he was afraid for a moment until he remembered how that story ended. "The children will help him," he blurted. "The children of the forest." So I don't think the last hero became an other or anything like that, because the children actually did help the last hero. And we also hear from Sam how the legend ends, and that's with the last hero slaying the others with a dragon steel blade. I found one account of the Long Night that spoke of the last hero slaying others with a blade of dragon steel. Supposedly they could not stand against it. Dragon steel. So is dragon steel Valyrian steel? Did the Valyrians get the recipe from the children? Because the rise of Valyria didn't occur until after the Long Night. but somehow the last hero has a blade of dragon steel. Intriguing. Now, the reason I said that the last hero is Bran is because Bran seeks out the crow and the children of the forest to help him walk again with their ancient magic. But not only this, his importance is played up by so many different characters on so many different occasions.
You must learn to control it before the Night King comes. One way or another, he will find his way to the world of men. When he does, you will be there waiting for him.
So we know for sure that he's important, and we know for sure that George R.R. Martin wrote Bran's POV first. That was the first thing he ever put on the pages. So let's look at the last hero. So the last hero is said to have had a sword, a horse, a dog, and a dozen companions. You don't see Bran having 12 companions at once. And a dozen could just be an estimate, but he has help along his journey. When Bran first leaves Winterfell, he is with Meera, Jojen, Hodor, and Summer. Rickon and Osha head for White Harbor, but you could say that they were with Bran at one point in time during his journey. So Bran also has help from a man in a cave, maybe a man from the mountain clans, the Little, but he was clearly a Stark loyalist, and you could argue that he knew exactly who Bran was. The Little took out a knife and whittled it at a stick. When there was a Stark in Winterfell, a maiden girl could walk the King's Road in her name-day gown and still go unmolested. And travelers could find fire, bread, and salt at many an inn and holdfast. But the nights are colder now, and the doors are closed. There's squids in the Wolf's Wood, and flayed men ride the King's Road asking after strangers. The reeds exchanged a look. Flayed men, said Jojen. The bastard's boys, aye. He was dead, but now he's not, and paying good silver for wolf skins, a man hears, and maybe gold for word of certain other walking dead. He looked at Bran when he said that, and at Summer stretched out beside him. So we could definitely assume that the Little does know who Bran is. So they go to bed, and when they wake up, the Little is gone. So when they wake, he leaves them oatcakes and sausages for their journey to the Wall. We never hear from him again, but that is another person that helped Bran Stark on his journey. Then Bran is also aided by Sam and Gilly to pass through the Wall at the Night Fort to pass through the Black Gate. And when he gets on the other side of the Black Gate, he's helped by Cold Hands. Cold Hands takes him to the cave. Cold Hands' elk dies along the way. So Bran has numerous companions along his way to seek out the children. He doesn't have 12 companions, but she doesn't say 12. She says a dozen, and she could be estimating. Bran also has his horse, Hodor, his dog, Summer, and his companions also have iron-rusted swords that you could consider broken swords. And then I believe he gets a sword of dragon steel from the Children of the Forest, just like the last hero. And that sword is Dark Sister. Dark Sister is the Valyrian steel sword that Bloodraven possesses. It's a famous sword, one of the 2 Valyrian ancestral swords of House Targaryen. We have seen Bran gift one piece of Valyrian steel to his Dark Sister, Arya.
Student of history, are you?
Rhaenys rode Meraxus. Visenya rode Vhagar.
I'm sure I knew that when I was a boy.
Visenya Targaryen was a great warrior. She had a Valyrian steel sword she called Dark Sister.
Maybe he's saving Dark Sister for Jon, not knowing that Jon already has a Valyrian steel sword. Bran wouldn't know about Longclaw unless he actually looked and checked to see if Jon had Valyrian steel. So if Bran has the sword, I believe it's on the sled with him. And I am 1000% sure that in the books, Bran will get Dark Sister from Bloodraven, and it will go to Mira, Jojen's dark sister, or Arya, Bran's dark sister? If Bran is the last hero, he has to get Dragonsteel. He has to get a sword of Dragonsteel. If this exchange did happen and we do see it play out, then this would mirror the last hero legend. But when you look at the show, I don't know if the show is just going to skip over all of this and just use Catspaw Blade as like a stand-in for Dark Sister and an end-all be-all for the last hero legend. But what do you think? Is Bran the last hero? And what does it mean that Bran gave the Valyrian steel dagger to Arya, his dark sister? And do you think Bran had dark sister on his sled hidden under blankets? Or do you think they are not even going to touch on dark sister in the show? As always, thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone that supports me on Patreon. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and join the Sweet Summer family. Okay, my sweet summer children, have a good day.